furnished.
I ask that question differently, just in a different way.
Yeah.
I suppose, what's your take on local community organisations forming themselves into businesses, limited companies, and then refusing or using that and using legal methodologies, I suppose, to prevent local people from becoming members? Or you can kick that to touch if you want.
No, I won't.
That's the question. But I think it's an issue. I think it's an issue countrywide.
Yeah,
but we have a particular issue with it here. Sorry, Tom.
My view when it comes to community councils is this: they should be changed regularly, because that leads to a tendency where no blame can be pinned very easily, because the regularity is good. Then you have to have an authenticity and an accountability with them as well. But that's the truth. Ellen sits, what is Ballycarry Community Church Council?
Church Restoration.
Yeah, she's an accountant. She'll soon be chartered. You have people there who are qualified for the positions they hold, who are cognitive of how the position has moved on through the years and that. You need to have regular change for a start. Now, I have been made familiar with the state of affairs here, and for the interest of balance, I did try to reach out to both sides, because Carolyn's there, a whistleblower, and she just reminded me saying it. She reached out to me, and I read what she had to say, and to be honest, I brought it to a person who was more qualified than me to look at it, and he says what you need here is about a month to go through this, because he says this is a very extensive report. And I went through it as best I can, and I thought it warranted further investigation, to be honest. Where do I go from there?
The colour up here is unreal. That big top.
But I have been furnished. I was furnished. Sorry, and I forgot about it. I was furnished with a statement on it by the whistleblower. As I said, I did try to reach out to the other side, but there was no phone answered. Was the biggest problem I struck on. So I'm going to. Have I your permission to read this?
Yes.
Right. So this is in relation to. To be honest, when I have canvassed here, it has been asked of me, and I did say I'd look into it. So, this is Carmen's statement. Referring to Easkey Community Council Limited, I, Carmel Gordon, was dismissed from my post as a community support worker by Easkey Community Council because I brought a series of issues relating to the ECC's modus operandi to the attention of certain ECC directors. In the interim, I have compiled a comprehensive report on the ECC, comprising information from the ECC's own annual accounts filled at CRO, charities regulator records, freedom of information documents from funding bodies, government departments that fund the ECC, Sligo County Council Planning Department's public records, the International Fund for Ireland's charge on ECC assets, local people who have been beleaguered by the ECC whose activities have ranged from lawyers' letters to cold calling at people's doors, former directors who, despite having resigned for good reasons, nevertheless had their names retained on the register of directors for several years. Some were even registered as trustees of the charity formed in May 2018 without their knowledge or consent. I endeavoured to follow the correct protocol and sent my report to the Charities Regulator, ODCE, Corporate Enforcement, Public Accounts Committee, Sligo County Council, the Gardaí, various government departments, Sligo County Council Executive, the International Fund for Ireland, the Health Service Executive Confidential Recipient and elected representatives of all parties, and none. To date, those of the above who replied to my correspondence have passed me from Billy to Jack and over and back. Kieran Hayes, the county manager, to date has not acknowledged my correspondence. There has been an increasing unrest within the community, resulting in public meetings, regular protests, motions of no confidence and an action group, and in addition questions being consistently raised at Sligo County Council's monthly meetings. In April 2019, County Manager Kieran Hayes endeavoured to facilitate mediation between Easkey Community Action Group and the ECC, but this proved unsuccessful and refused to cooperate. Postponed the process in May until late June, and finally at the County Council September meeting that they had been aware of the issues regarding the ECC for a year. Issues of non-conformity with corporate governance within the ECC. In October 2019, Mr Hayes asked the ECAG to recommence mediation and trust him as the independence of his office. Meanwhile, at a meeting of the ECC convened, ECC assured Mr Hayes and public representatives that they would admit 51 new members. Over 70 applications were made by the committee or by the community members at a cost of €30 per person. But unknown to Mr Hayes or the community, the ECC had already filled a special resolution at the CRO, that's the Charities Regulator, and charged their constitution, limiting the membership to no more than 25 persons. Motions to investigate various aspects of the ECC were passed unanimously at County Council meetings in September, October, November, but the County Manager has failed to act, only offering mediation. However, mediation will not address the grave issues raised in my report, issues relating to serious financial discrepancies, planning permission compliance failures to deliver projects, total lack of transparency, and the use of taxpayers' money for projects that are no benefit to the community. My question is, how can the ECC qualify to be a registered charity, be considered a community group, or qualify for any public funding with the above raised? And to be honest, I think that's quite a well-written letter, and I think it deserves a little bit of recognition. I have brought the letter and the report, and it is an extensive report, and it goes more in depth than what a lot of politicians have been given, and I was given the opportunity to look at it as I'm a new candidate, and I'm sure Carmen was trying to attest to my credentials and what I would actually do when I got there. It stands on its own 2 feet, in my opinion, and it raises very, very dangerous issues. At best, it's very poor bookkeeping, and at worst, I don't like to think of the worst. And all I will say is, I've came to Easkey for a long, long time. I have family in Easkey. My uncles drank and danced in Easkey, as did my father and mother. And it pains me. Well, Mum didn't drink, I can assure you that. But it does pain me to see a split in the community. Now, as I'm coming here as a prospective elected representative, there's not much I can do. I don't have the clout at the moment. But I can assure you, if I do, it will be brought to the right channel. And I think it is indicative of how whistleblowers are treated in this country, to see how it has been shed. Because I have seen the report, I have seen the channels it's been brought to, and in my mind, it does require further investigation, and serious investigation. As I said, it could be just poor bookkeeping. But there are parts of it that are very not worth it. I am aware, Tom, and as I said, I don't think it has been dealt with in the correct way. I certainly think it had warranted an investigation. And when you have a whistleblower in a community, you have someone who has seen something and reported on it. The way you solve that is by looking into it with more detail. That's how it's looked into. Someone is right and someone is wrong. It's either one or the other. But you cannot fathom that out without identifying the problem and looking into it. That's what was required here. Now, what you have got from your elected representatives at the moment is, in my opinion, a cover-up. So, that's my opinion. Until I'm an elected representative, it's just an opinion. I can guarantee you, if I am an elected representative, it'll be more than an opinion.
Just to follow up, you are elected, who's going to share my sheep?